side, taking that ride to nowhere. We'll take that ride. I'm feeling okay this morning, and you know, we're on the road to paradise. Here we go, here we go. There's a city in my mind, come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. Would you like to come along, and you can help me sing this song, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. There's a city in my mind, come along and take that ride, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. And it's very far away, but it's growing day by day, and it's alright, baby, it's alright. They could tell you what to do, but they'll make a fool of you, and it's alright, baby, it's alright.
Party people!
What's going on? One of these days, I'm just going to play this song, and I'm going to forget to hit, like, we're going live, and then we'll just, like, come here and be like, oh, shit, we're not live. We got to do it all over again. Yeah.
You realize we did that once, right?
I think we definitely have before, yeah.
Yeah, when we were with Logan. Yeah, we totally did. We went for, like, 15 minutes. That's what she said. And
yeah, well,
we were like, okay, 2 articles in, and all we see are a bunch of comments about how people are not seeing the stream. All right, sweet, let's go again.
Well, there was one time where we accidentally went into another show's stream that was
yes,
and then
it was like, that was funny. I forgot about that. Like, surprise, we're on your channel now. Sorry.
Title did not match.
Joined. Like, people were already over there, so we're like, should we end it or what should we do?
And I think we ended up ending it, and then we went there. That made it even worse.
Oh my god, that's funny. Yo, this is what happens because, like, people with podcasts, like, who are independent news, they're like, oh, my producer, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I just had my 5-year birthday of a show, and I have never had a producer in my damn life, and that's okay, because indie media means indie media. It does not mean $40,000 a month. Sorry, Brianna Joy Gray. Yeah, you heard me. $40,000 a month. You are not independent media. You passed that a long time ago. So, yeah, like, my producer, no, give me a break. And I mean, if you have one working for free and shit, hell, props to you. But usually when people say it, it's like, okay, yeah, okay, I see what you're talking about. Must be nice. Yeah, I'm that bitch. I'm salty. Yep. But anyway, I spent the past 3 days in New York City, which was exciting. It's even more exciting because I got to see my favoriteest band of almost 30 years, Rage Against the Machine. And it was so fucking delicious. It was so good. And fucking Run the Jewels opened and they fucking killed it. Ah! So here's a clip of an epic moment.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Motherfucker!
That's me. So yeah, like I was like, I gotta get this shit on video because like 21,000 people screaming, "Fuck you! I won't do what you tell me!" And I was like, this is fucking beautiful. I need this shit. But I'm gonna keep it real. After I left and I went home to the hotel, what's it say?
Ironic, most of that crowd probably voted for Biden.
You read my mind. This is what I like. This is literally what I'm about to say. And I didn't want to acknowledge it there because I was fulfilling a literal dream of mine to see them. But, you know, like Run the Jewels came out like straight up a cab. Like, yo, to the policewoman who just did that, fuck you. To the policeman who just did that, fuck you too. And to all the cops who are supposed to protect and serve, fuck y'all too. And they just went down and they're like, to all you representatives who say you support the people and you don't do shit for them, fuck y'all too. And they just, and woo, 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 woo. And, you know, I was standing there like this the whole time, like, yes, yes, yes. But, so, you know, a lot of people were cheering, most people were cheering for everything like that. And, you know, and then Rage came on, and first of all their lyrics are about fuck the establishment. So, and, you know, yeah, I mean, everyone was like cheering all the time, and Zach De La Roca is like, you know, you are so much stronger than they want you to think they are. Do not let them have power over you. You need to hold them accountable. Like stuff like that. Whoa, 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 whoa. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I know every person in here clapping did not vote for Bernie. Every person in here did not vote third party. I know every fucking person in here does not sit there and say, I'm sitting this out because I'm not voting for establishment. I know that for a fact. So the hypocrisy is real. And, you know, see, Rage is not just do I love them musically, because I have for almost 30 years, but also they gave me my first taste of politics and, you know, humanity and injustice. I never heard of Mumia. I never heard of Leonard Peltier. I never heard of any of these people. I didn't fucking know. Tiananmen Square? What the fuck is that? I don't fucking know. Like, I heard about these things through them, you know, starting when I was in 9th grade. And they gave me an education way more than my high school did. So I get like super pissed when I think about the fact that like these people are like cheering and stuff, and like they don't comprehend what they're cheering for. It's like remember Paul Ryan, when they asked him on the bus that showed the circus, what's your favorite band? What are you listening to right now? And he said, Rage Against the Machine. They're my favorite. Paul fucking Ryan. Obviously, he's never listened to a single one of their words. Paul fucking Ryan. Okay, first of all, why the fuck are you even listening to punk rock? Don't you listen to some fucking, like, honky tonk shit or, like, fucking Shania Twain or something? Why the fuck are you listening to, like, hardcore punk rock? Like, fuck the system. But that just goes to show you, like, it's people are very, you know, ironic with their choices. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to, sadly, when it comes to a lot of songs, people just don't always necessarily listen, or they do hear the lyrics, but they don't really actually look in more deeply into what they mean, right? And so, it doesn't surprise me that Paul Ryan likes Rage Against the Machine. I mean, it's such a catchy beat. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, and you're just kind of going along with it. So, yeah, I mean, I think it kind
What's
of...
the machine? Do you think it's like a tractor? Or like what is the machine to him?
It's I don't know.
Like literally
Blue
machinery?
unions. It's unions. Unions are the machine to Paul Ryan.
Oh, or women's bodies.
Or women's bodies. Yes. Or
Okay.
woke culture, anti-Christian values, atheism. Yeah, that's his machine. So, yeah, fuck
Sounds
you.
accurate.
I'm gonna be a Christian.
A Christian who loves communism and loves anti-capitalist propaganda. Oh my
Fuck
God,
you. I'm going to put my Christian nationalism all up on you. You're going to have to abide by everything I believe in. Yeah,
Oh, but speaking of political and things like that as well, yesterday we were still in NYC and I took my husband to a Basquiat art show. It was over 200 pieces that were never before seen, donated by his family. And holy shit, if you guys aren't familiar with his work, oh my fucking gods. Like, that man was a fucking genius. And looking back at how, before his time, because he was talking about racial injustice and, women and people who are, privileged and capitalism and things like that. He was painting about that stuff like way before, like in the 80s. And he was genius. So if you're not familiar with him, definitely check out his work. It's very powerful.
Yeah. Cool. It's looking sad. I was just seeing an update. It looks like Liz Cheney is going to lose her seat tonight.
Shocker.
So sad. What are we going to do?
And now watch all the Dems be like, this isn't fair. It's because she came out against Trump. That's all they care about. They are one issue people. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm still going to do whatever it takes to make sure that he is prosecuted and blah, blah. Well, what do you think you're going to have a fucking ability to do as a citizen now? You have no position now. What do you think you can do?
Did you see one of her campaign commercials where her father stepped in and basically said that Donald Trump has been the worst threat to democracies? Dick Cheney said that Donald Trump has been the worst threat to democracy. You can't make this shit up. It's like, first of all, you have to bring in your father to try and save your ass and then talk about how important democracy is.
Dude shot his best friend in the face and made him apologize, okay? That
is probably one of the better things he's done. That's the sad part.
I know! It's kind of badass. But yeah, I mean, oh my God, I can't with them. I fucking can't. But you know what? Nothing is more ironic. Nothing than Queen Hillary saying Donald is, the death of democracy. Miss, I'm asking Donald Trump to run, and I am rigging the entire 2016 election, and Trump is the one who ended democracy. Yep. And all her pussy hat queens just gobble that right up like the cum dumpster fire that they are.
So yeah, I mean, Liz Cheney's person who's probably going to win. It is not much better, but at least it ends a dynasty, and creates a new corrupt person. So we're right where we started. Great.
Well, it's so fascinating that the U.S. does that. They had a Clinton, they want another Clinton. They had Obama, they want Michelle to run. Like, they really love, they love a dynasty. And it's like, that doesn't work well in other countries. Just electing people because of their lineage does not work well. So how about let's go with humanity, qualifications even? I don't know. Chelsea fucking Clinton will run for president. I doubt this time, but she will. She absolutely will. And because if mommy can't be the first woman president, her daughter will be.
Yeah, well, we'll see if she runs for something else first. I'm actually kind of surprised she hasn't run for anything yet, but
I really thought in 2020 she was going to run for Senate or something. So yeah, I was surprised as well.
Yeah, we'll see. She's probably enjoying her life as a private citizen too. She's doing pretty well. It's not like she, but she to be fair, she had to work for all of it. She had to, she wasn't given anything, as a child, and so. Yeah.
True. I mean, everything she has worked tirelessly for.
Yes, absolutely.
She grew up in peril.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, having a father like that is peril.
Where's Daddy going? On the Lolita Express, honey.
Going on a flight.
The weekend.
Going to be in a remote island for a couple weeks. Just making deals. It's fine.
Why did Daddy ask all my friends to go and not me? That's essentially what her life was probably like.
Anyway, I promise we have real serious topics here tonight. So we'll take a break from, I guess, the Clintons and trainees. We'll actually talk a little bit about Biden administration. So this is an interesting topic because, it involves the war on drugs. It also involves gun control. And so I think this is a really interesting topic because there's a lot of different ways I think you can look at this. And it depends on kind of how you feel about the topic, where you fall in terms of the spectrum. But I think it's important that we go back to, so interestingly enough, there's the Gun Control Act of 1968, right? So that actually makes it so that any unlawful user of a controlled substance is prohibited from purchasing or owning a gun. Okay? Now, and so with that is included marijuana, cannabis, as an illegal substance. Okay? Even though many states have since legalized it, right? And many different states have also legalized it for medical purposes, right? Recreationally, it's legal in many places. And then even more places, it's also medically legal, right? So here we have now back in April 20th, in Florida, the agricultural commissioner, right? Her name is Freed. She's the one, this makes it interesting. She is the one Democratic state office holder in Florida, right? That is basically a state held position. She decides that she is going to sue Biden to basically make it so that if you are a marijuana user, right, for medical purposes, because in Florida it's legal to use marijuana for medical purposes, not recreational, but medical purposes, that they should take off that barrier to getting people to have guns. Okay. And And so this is, and this is something I recently learned, right? So you literally have to fill out an ATF form 4473, and you have to then say, I have not used any illegal substances, marijuana included, because federally it's illegal. So even though if it's state by state legalized, it's still considered illegal federally. All right. So she has stepped up and she is actually suing the Biden administration to get that off of being a requirement. Because if I were to lie about not ever doing marijuana or cannabis, I should say, you could get 5 years in prison if you're caught lying about that, right? For getting a gun.
Wow.
So really interesting case. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this as well.
It's almost a kind of parallel, to, the girl going to Russia, even though she has a medical cannabis card, and yet she's in prison for 9 years. It's kind of an interesting parallel.
Yeah, absolutely. So on April 20th, she decided to sue the Biden administration, okay? Which is interesting here.
Wait, 420?
Yeah, that was, yep. See where it's going there? That was definitely done on purpose.
Oh my God, I can't.
Yeah. So Department of Justice attorneys defended the federal, so this is now fast forward to August 13th, right? So the Department of Justice attorneys defended the federal law that bars marijuana users from buying guns this week. Florida Agriculture Commissioner Nikki Fried, I believe it's Fried, sued the Biden, who also, grant you, is running for governor of Florida to challenge Ron DeSantis. So another little tidbit there, right? So Agricultural Commissioner Nikki Fried sued the Biden administration earlier this summer, arguing the policy violates the rights of medical marijuana patients. In a motion filed Monday, attorneys stated marijuana use impairs judgment, as Florida's Board of Medicine puts it. The ability to think, judge, and reason. It is therefore dangerous to trust regular marijuana users to exercise sound judgment while intoxicated. Drug users in America are legally barred from buying firearms under federal law, even if they only smoke marijuana, and even if they have a valid state medical license to do so. Before purchasing a gun, a buyer must fill out ATF form 4473, which I was talking about, which asks if they are an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana.
Addicted.
What the actual fuck? Or another controlled substance. It adds a specific warning that the use or possession of marijuana remains unlawful under federal law, regardless of whether it has been legalized or decriminalized for medical or recreational purposes in the state where you reside. Fried responded to the motion, calling it beyond disappointing. Department of Justice argument is as offensive as it is inaccurate, utilizing centuries-old case law and making false claims demonizing medical marijuana patients, including perpetuating prejudicial stereotypes that cannabis users are dangerous or mentally ill. The case, so that's what she wrote in a statement. The case is still in its early stages. No trial or hearing dates have yet been announced. Okay, so this is very, very, very interesting on many different counts, right? First of all, how often, the Democrats are so like, oh, Biden, don't challenge Biden, don't do anything. So first of all, you have a Democrat of the entire state of Florida suing Biden, right? She's running for governor. And so that's probably, let's be honest, that's probably a way that she's trying to make herself more known, right? Like, I'm the person who's
a way to get Republican voters. Yes. She's doing something to help them out with guns while also suing the person they hate the most.
Right. And also being like, okay, for people who, smoke, because so obviously people voted overwhelmingly to make cannabis legal medicinally in Florida, right, in 2020, right? So clearly that's a popular issue because the voters literally voted on that. Do you think the state legislator would have voted on that in Florida? Fuck no, right? So she's now kind of that she's making a profile of herself of someone who's going to fight for gun rights and fight against the war on drugs, in a sense, right? And then I think this also is bringing to the point where just because you legalize marijuana in each state does not mean you still are going to have things that you can't do because of the federal law, right? So that kind of throws the whole state by state, right? Like it should be up to the states out the window because, and I'll give and literally like at the college, so Massachusetts, cannabis is 100% legal, right? Well, not 100%, right? You can't do cannabis anywhere, right? But it's as legal as it can be, right? We cannot advertise any sort of organizations that have anything to do with cannabis to students who might want to work there, right? Because federally, the university could lose funding, right? And so that's barriers in itself for those businesses who are trying to kind of get up and running, particularly the smaller businesses, right? So, but to get back to this point, right? So it really just shows the state versus federal level, how there is conflict there. It shows the war on drugs because you can buy guns for literally so many other reasons, but they're like, nope, if you have marijuana in your system, absolutely not. And then, of course,
and Biden in 2020 called marijuana a gateway drug in 2020.
Yeah. So, yeah, lot of things in there. And Biden, of all people, of course, is not going to be lifting a finger to be like, oh, let's take that out. Let's try and end it, right? And so, yeah, I have to say, right, I don't know much about Nikki Fried, right? Like other than the fact that she's running for governor and she's the Democrat that is holding a statewide office there. She's pretty smart though for doing that. I gotta give it to her. Like
it's I mean it's brilliant for campaigning that way. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it just brings in, I think this does bring in how it is very nuanced when it comes to gun control, right? And how it can be cynically used, right? Obviously, there's many different things we could be looking at in order when it comes to guns and, right, who should have guns, who should not, right? That is definitely a discussion. But you're telling me the one obstacle is fucking cannabis when it's legal in like over 20 states or so, right? Like, of course.
And majority of people who use it are people who they gave guns to when they were in the military. How about that? Mm-hmm. And cancer patients. So, I mean, that argument is just completely absurd. But you're right. I mean, the first thing I thought of was the state-by-state argument. Cool. So this chick in Florida is fighting it. Awesome. Let's say she is victorious. Let's say that the cannabis section is thrown out and medicinally, that is null and void. What about the rest of our country? Fuck you. We got ours. Fuck you.
Yeah. Although, because there are still some federal stipulations, it may make people be like, oh, that's kind of fucked up. Fight for it. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it definitely invalidates the whole thing should be run state by state because as we're starting to see, things are never really 100% legal. There are always going to be things where the federal government steps in and be like, nope, it's not actually legal because you're on our turf right now, right?
Yeah, federal can and will always supersede anything state run. And I mean, I don't know what, I get so sick of trying to explain it to people. It's just, they look at their own situation in their nice big blue states and how they're going to be better off. And they don't think about the ramifications of everyone else.
For sure. So, yeah, just thought that was an interesting story that is in development. We'll see if she has any luck in terms of getting that off Florida of all places, trying to fight for that. I mean, that's just wild.
And you know what? When you smoke your cannabis, you say the word gay and you say it proud. Oh.
And you get your guns and your cannabis.
And wear a rainbow flag while you do it. Yes.
That's hey, that's okay, yeah. Sure.
I mean, I want someone to take on DeSantis and be like, say gay. Say it. Say gay. Let's all say gay right now.
Well, maybe Nikki Fried can, if she debates DeSantis, can try and make him say that. That'll be.
And just like literally have the entire audience be like, gay, 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 gay. And then DeSantis will start like melting and start like just, spontaneously combusting all over. And it would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, we'll go to the Starbucks story. That sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
So this caught my eye because this gentleman, 33 years old, worked at Starbucks for the past 13 years, pretty much his entire adult life. And he was fired for a minor infraction that happened a month prior. So do you want to read some of the article there, sir?
Yes. Okay. So let me get this click out of this ad. There we go. All right. Over 13 years, he served countless customers, learned details of their lives, and even watched their kids grow up, the former ship supervisor said. When a wave of labor activity spread through Starbucks locations across the country, he got involved as a lead organizer at the store he typically works at in Amherst, a suburb of Buffalo, New York, which became one of the first in the country to unionize. On August 5th, 33-year-old had just clocked in for his shift at a different Starbucks in the town of Tonawanda when the store manager pulled Amato outside for a conversation and fired him for a month-old violation connected to closing the store early, a decision that he said left him blindsided. I mean, it's been 13 years. It's how I get my paycheck. It's how I get my insurance. It's how I make a living, Amato told Fortune. To have that pulled from under you, it was a devastating moment. But when he left the store that day, he didn't leave alone. All 6 employees working in the store with him at the time walked out in a show of support. Several Starbucks Workers United union members and staff from other locations in the area joined them in what quickly became a major viral TikTok video with over 21 million views. The caption on the video reads, "When your entire store walks out after management unjustly fires your coworker for being a union leader." Starbucks denied that it was the cause of Amato's firing and said it enforces standards consistently for all employees. The union drive at Starbucks stores nationwide grew out of a historic vote last December. Workers at a store near Buffalo voted to form the first U.S. union in the chain's 50-year history. And you know what? Funny thing was, I was literally at Buffalo like a week before they voted to unionize. So I take a little bit of credit. I was there. I gave that.
It was totally you.
What?
It was totally you.
It was me.
It all happened because of you.
Yeah. Just my presence. I exuded union supporting presence. And look at that. 200 stores later, just, I'll take the crown later.
Andrew.
As 186 other locations have also unionized. I think it's definitely been more since then. The coffee giant has faced accusations of retaliating against and intimidating involved employees, which has denied. In June, the NLRB filed a petition with the U.S. District Court in Buffalo accusing Starbucks of employing what the agency called an expansive array of illegal tactics. Starbucks, of course, denied that. And so a group walkout in Tonawanda that went viral last week is the most exposure that a union action at Starbucks has received so far, according to Casey Moore, the 25-year-old barista who took the video. Moore worked at a different store near Buffalo and participated. She helped run the union's TikTok account and shared 3 videos of the walkout that have together clocked over 30 million views on TikTok. Do you want me to keep going or?
No, that's good. I love the solidarity there. Like, I love it so much. I work in a warehouse without air conditioning, and we unload trucks and lift boxes and do manual labor all day, and we have no air conditioning. And I've said things to, people who work in the back with me, like, they also complain it's hot. Obviously, we sweat our asses off. We go through, in a 4-hour shift, I drink 3 bottles of water. Like, it is so hot back there. And, I will say things like, I would like to type up a petition. Will you sign it? Well, what if we did a walkout one day and just made signs and demanded air conditioning? I don't know. Like, people are very trepidatious to do anything. And I'm like, the thing is, though, don't complain then. Because when corporate came in, I unleashed. They knew who Savage Joy was then. They didn't know Savage Joy. They knew sweet, nice Joy. And after corporate came in and I said, you know what you're doing is disgusting. It's inhumane. It's unacceptable. And I went off for over 5 minutes right at the freaking DM's face. Because I don't complain and do nothing about it. So the fact that this store was in solidarity with this employee is fucking beautiful, and that's how I wish it would be every place.
Yeah. And I think particularly, I've been talking about Starbucks a lot because there's a Starbucks near me that has been striking, just hit 30 days, which is the longest in Starbucks history that workers have struck for. The store has been closed for 30 days. And they
still won't give the people what they want. That shows you who you are going to spend $6 coffee at. That shows you. That's who you're giving your money to. I have never spent a dime in that fucking place, and I'm so glad.
Yeah.
It's fucking gross.
I'm not really a coffee fan, so it kind of, keeps me away from Starbucks in general. But yeah, I think the energy, and we're going to actually be talking about some workers' energy that is happening actually in Austin, Texas. That might be our next topic in a little bit, which is really cool. But I think I will say one thing about this that's really stuck out to me as well. I think one of the smears that people try and make regarding Starbucks workers, and I think most of these are not coming from good faith to begin with, right? But a lot of people like to paint the workers at Starbucks as, oh, these are like kids of rich families, or oh, these are like college students that are temporarily there, right? And sure, that at times is sometimes the case. However, there are also people who work there for a long time, as this article shows. Yeah, for a long ass time, right? And there are a lot of people who are relying on Starbucks to help pay their rent, right? And Starbucks, at least the Starbucks close by to me, the manager is purposely making it so that these people have unpredictable hours. They don't know when they're going to be working. It's less than 20 hours, so they can't actually get the healthcare services that they need, right? And so I guess my message is, if you are going to nitpick exactly who is striking to demand better wages, and you're going to be like, well, why can't the people in the warehouses get unions? Yeah, they should fucking get unions too. They should fucking, yeah, I would support them unionizing as well. These are the people who are unionizing now. And you know what? This is continuing to cause a ripple throughout the labor movement, because people are seeing Starbucks, 200 plus have unionized. And this is causing Whole Foods just now. Minneapolis just voted to unionize. Massachusetts just voted to unionize. Sorry, Trader Joe's. What did I say? Whole Foods? Yeah, not Whole Foods. I hope Whole Foods. I hope they're next.
Well, Whole Foods is Amazon, so they did start. They started trying.
Yes.
So,
absolutely, yeah. But I think one of the traps, and again, these are probably Fed talking points, but they're going to try and divide by saying they're not real laborers. Baristas aren't real laborers. Do you fucking believe in unions? Okay, great. I don't give a shit what you're doing. You deserve workers' rights. You deserve to be treated well. And you know what? If you're setting a precedent for others to follow as well. So,
the same people were like, I don't understand why they're doing this. They're just salty. They can't get their fucking $6 coffee, and they have to go down to the other Starbucks that's like 2 blocks away. It's bullshit. Yeah. It is bullshit. If there was the local Starbucks protesting, I would fucking join them in a heartbeat. No doubt. People expect people to be nice and happy and wait on them hand and foot, but then they're like, why do they want to get paid a fair wage? Why do they want health insurance? Like, why? That's privilege talking. If you can go to Starbucks every fucking day, you're fucking privileged.
And then some people say, oh, well, you could just work somewhere else. Okay, so you're saying that whoever works in that location is just it deserves just shit, and they should just find another place who's probably not going to pay them much more, because let's be honest, yeah, they're all paying their workers shit. That's why there's a massive movement to unionize.
Like, imagine having the balls to say that, then go work somewhere else. I cannot even fathom. I've heard people say stuff like that. It just fucking blows my mind. The hubris that someone must have to be like, then just go work somewhere else.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I'll be joining the picket lines of that Starbucks, and I will be continuing to support them and do that, because they need shifts. They need shifts of people to be there. But look up. I'm sure there are probably unionized Starbucks that are closer to you all than you think, because they're out there. So speaking of which, kinda, let me pull up, we're going to go to Austin, Texas now.
I don't want to.
Well, this is the good kind of Austin, Texas. All right. Like this gives you a little bit of hope for Austin.
Oh, we're going to go there virtually.
Yeah. We're not going to go there.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not taking any flights to Austin, Texas. All right, cool. So we're actually going to be talking about private equity firms. That's going to be kind of one of the focuses of the next couple of topics. So just so we're clear, private equity firm is when capital investment is made into companies that are not publicly traded for return in investment. And so basically, typically if a private equity firm buys a company, it's typically they're struggling. And so what they're trying to do is turn around this struggling company. And so maybe like a few years down the road, they could resell it. And of course, how do you turn around a company? You make it a much better, well-managed company that has an appeal to customers. No, you probably just make a lot of cuts. You cut people who are on the ground doing the work, they go away. And then, you get all the money that you want, you profit off of it, and then you sell it back into the public market to somewhere else, right? So what could go wrong there, right? It's definitely a democratized system. Everyone benefits from it, right? It's not like one person or two people are benefiting while other people's are like being no. Okay, so just keep that concept in mind throughout these next couple of topics, because I think I think I just kind of explained capitalism and how it works, right? So yeah. All right, but here we're gonna go and let's just watch this video because I've talked enough.
It's very easy.
I could go for pizza too.
And all of you are being mistreated.
If Via could charge $30 for a pizza, they could pay their workers a livable wage.
Workers at a popular Austin, Texas pizzeria are trying to unionize.
Foundry is a pizza restaurant that started in Austin, Texas. It is Detroit-style pizza.
It is now a chain, basically, because it was bought out by this restaurant fund, Savory.
It's a private equity firm.
And their plan is to expand rapidly within the next 5 years to open 50 stores across the United States and then sell it. And during this process, they do not know how to run a restaurant. They don't know how to take care of their employees. They're not here on the ground with us. They're based in Utah. So the only time they do come out here is on their private jets to come and cut costs.
Savory raised $100 million to invest in growing restaurants. Despite this, workers at the 3 Austin Via 313 locations report rampant wage
So
theft.
a lot of people have gotten their wages stolen from them, essentially. Like, they'll check their pay stubs after a check, and then the hours are missing and there's pay missing.
There have been promises of back pay to various workers. These promises have never been fulfilled.
One coworker named Joe quit after the company failed to give him $400 in missed wages and a $500 sign-on bonus, so he was owed $900.
We don't get paid well. It took months for me to beg for a raise.
$2.13 an hour plus tips. Like, that's crazy. They're outsourcing our wages to customers, and if they don't like you, they don't have to pay you. And I think that's just ridiculous. Because if Via could charge $30 for a pizza, they could pay their workers a livable wage.
Austin's Via 313 workers don't believe Savory has any regard
When
for
I
the health and
started
safety.
there wasn't any AC in the building. There hadn't been AC for a while. It got up to 107 degrees, and I had a 550-degree oven blasting heat behind me.
We're talking about Texas in the summer without a properly functioning AC.
When it breaks, it usually takes them a month or 2 months to fix it, and it just makes working in that environment like almost unbearable.
Count on a winter COVID.
During the Omicron surge last winter, many workers in Austin were forced out of work with no sick pay.
There were a ton of people getting COVID because they were working at Via. I got COVID because I was working at Via.
While we were out sick, one of the higher-up managers was texting us and trying to check in with us and asking us what we needed. A lot of us said sick pay. I was one of those people. And she said, we can't really do that. We tried to have meetings with them. They would dodge us. So eventually we're like, you know what? We're going to turn a petition in. And they suspended a majority of the people that turned it in. And the minute they did that, we showed them how strong we were. We organized that protest. We had about 150 to 200 people turn out for that. After that, they gave everybody back pay that was suspended, and they gave them their jobs back.
Inspired by the sex of their protest, Austin workers are forming Restaurant Workers United, a worker-led union for restaurant workers across the U.S.
It should be the workers organizing, and it should be the workers making the decisions about what they want and how they want to fight for it. And so the reason why we filed independently and started Restaurant Workers United is to be a resource for those who want to organize restaurants.
Overall, I don't think that Via is that unique in the kinds of issues that we experience at work. I think everything that we see, like wage theft, hours being cut, people not getting the hours they need, no sick pay, no paid vacation, dangerous working conditions. I think all of these things are things that are super, super common in the service industry. We can't go find another job in the service industry that's going to be significantly better, or we're going to feel significantly more taken care of or cared about or valued. That's why we're organizing. It's because we want to change the industry and not just because we need to change so desperately at VIA.
I want to spark change in this industry. My best case scenario is that it starts here at VIA, it starts here in Austin, but it expands all over the place. I want service workers around the world to like unite and fight back for their rights.
Right on.
Yeah. I mean,
those kids are inspiring.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, first of all, I thought 213 and 283 was for waitresses, which is bad enough, but they're not waiters and waitresses. I don't fucking understand how they can get 213 an hour. They didn't say anything about tips. So why?
Yeah, they can get tips. I think they did say they can get tips. They do. It is tipped. They are tipped, or else that would be illegal. Now, I would like to actually know, though, how much they get in tips per day, because it's probably not. Like, yeah.
I mean, I leave tips for stuff like that, but most people don't. And is it one pot and they all split it at the end of the day? If that's the case, there's no way they're making that much in tips. There's no way.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. I mean, unless they are servers serving people who are sitting at the table, I don't know. But
didn't seem that way. I don't know. That's just so bananas. Like, I don't understand why servers are left down anyway. When it's minimum wage, it's minimum fucking wage, not asterisk, unless you serve people sitting on their ass. Like, I over tip like crazy. I mean, I really over tip. I'm horrible with that because I can't even imagine how hard that job is. And I'm always ridiculously nice to waitresses and waiters because I just can't even fathom the shit they have to put up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I think, and it's just the whole theme. I mean, you're hearing one of the common complaints is ACs. ACs magically are just not working at these businesses, right? It's at your situation when you're in the back, with all the shirts and you're over, heating back there. You have to drink 3 bottles of water, right? It's them back in the oven where they're working with really 500 degrees. When you say 500 degrees where you're putting the pizza into the heater, that is just absurd. So
incredible.
Yeah. And then you have all these UPS drivers who are clocking in their temperatures and how hot it is. And it's just literal just sweatshops, these are just blatantly sweatshops. And all the things you learn about in school where it's back then you had people working. And I mean, it's
back in my day, we didn't even have air conditioning. Well, guess what? I fucking don't either.
Yeah. Nothing has fucking changed.
Nothing has changed. Only thing that's changed is that we can't live on one income for 4 people and, all that shit, having a big, my dad was product manager at Mack Trucks for 45 years. He never had a day of college. That's how it was back then. He's 81. That's how it is. You just apply for a job, you get the job. Now,
yeah,
things are very, very different now.
So speaking of things that are different, another thing that is different is that more and more hospitals are owned by private equity firms. And so what could go wrong with that? So hello, Lucky Burrito. Nice to see you. And so I'm going to be putting this on. This is going to be a 10-minute video. But this really, I think, paints a great picture of how private equity firms, when they run hospitals, run it to the ground, lives are lost, and how they are more and more expanding in rural communities that hardly have hospitals as it is, with hospitals closing, and then more to probably be closing with these private equity firms that really don't give a shit about treating patients. So let me just add this to the stream. Like I said, it's 10 minutes, but it's very informative, and it's very upsetting as well. So just letting you know about that.
Wilson is a small town. At one point in time, it was the world's biggest tobacco supplier and things like that. Everybody knows everybody there. I like that aspect of it, but there's certain things in Wilson that they could get better at, and one of those things is the hospital. This picture is, I think it's my first Christmas, and you can definitely see how happy he is and, you know, him as a person. In 2020, he went into the hospital just for a few regular things, just going in and then never came out, basically. My father fell in the ICU, and he fell because his arms weren't restrained. The bed alarm wasn't on, so he pulled the tube out of his throat, stood up, yelled, fell. That's where the nurse found him after however many minutes in a pool of blood when he fell.
Wilson Medical Center is the only hospital serving Wilson County, North Carolina. After being bought by a private equity behemoth, doctors, nurses, and patients have told me the hospital is putting profit over care to an extreme degree. It's nothing more than a place to die now, several Wilsonians have told me, and a clear and sobering view of the dismal state of rural healthcare in America.
This is an extraction operation. It's a billionaire factory. And they're doing that by essentially mining the wealth of poor rural communities.
So many people I know will not go to Wilson Hospital if they can help it.
If you're profit driven and you're not concerned about patient care, the recipe is exactly what we have in Wilson, and it's a disaster.
Doctors I've spoken with say chronic understaffing has diminished this once respectable hospital into a glorified for-profit urgent care.
I've been an ER doctor for 2 decades in more hospitals than you can comprehend, and Wilson is the worst.
Corners are being cut, and in my opinion, patient safety is being compromised.
Every single day, I dreaded going to work.
The private equity business model is fundamentally incompatible with sound healthcare that serves patients. And that incompatibility inevitably turns deadly.
I come here all the time. On my 21st birthday, I came and I took a fireball shot with him. And it stayed here ever since March 12th, even through all the storms and everything. I don't know how, but it stayed here. Whenever it showed on his death certificate that it was blunt force trauma to the head, that's when I really realized, you know, it wasn't because of him. It was because of neglect. It was because some people weren't doing what they were supposed to do. There was supposed to be a bed sitter, or if not a bed sitter, a nurse was always supposed to be at her station. None of that happened. Whenever I found that out, I was shocked. I was kind of mad. I was angry.
Wilson Medical Center recently made headlines after federal regulators threatened to pull their Medicare funding, an extremely rare move. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services outlined the immediate jeopardy at the hospital linked to 2 patient deaths.
You know, there's all kinds of instances where I think that the patient is not first on the list. And that's what my concern is. And that's why I said it's up to the county commissioners.
William Ferris is an attorney in Wilson. He spoke up about the report at a July 11th County Board of Commissioners meeting when it didn't make the agenda.
We're in immediate jeopardy for losing Medicare funding. That's less than 3% of the hospitals. Less than 3% of the hospitals that are surveyed have that problem.
So let me just be real clear. The doctors and nurses, they're not responsible for anything that's happening. My problem is with the management of the hospital all the way up to Apollo.
Apollo Global Management, one of the biggest private equity firms in the world, bought around 70 LifePoint hospitals, including the one in Wilson, in 2018 for $5.6 billion. The deal was part of a much bigger trend. Private equity firms plowed $750 billion into American healthcare institutions between 2010 and 2020.
That easy profit is what drives private equity to invest in healthcare. It creates this appealing landscape because it's somewhat of a wild, wild west.
Olivia Smith is an attorney with Wallace & Graham. Her experience in suing private equity-owned healthcare facilities has made her very familiar with the private equity playbook.
What they often do is form a corporation or an LLC or any kind of corporate form and the legal owner will be the corporate form, not the two owners. So they have insulated themselves from any connection between the operations and the healthcare and themselves. Often we see the actual property that the health facility is on put into a separate LLC and owned by the same owners, of course. However, they then lease themselves that building. There's also various ways that they can further vertically integrate through pharmacies, through staffing companies, through housekeeping and hospitality companies. All of these can be owned by the same individuals, theoretically, but placed into separate corporate forms and transact in business with one another. And so really it's just a kind of musical chairs of moving money around from one pocket to another.
We asked Olivia to look at the ownership chart for Wilson Medical Center to help us better understand how the private equity model has affected the hospital.
In an ideal world, only the bottom entity would exist. And I say that because that's the medical provider. That is the healthcare provider. In reality, it's this top entity that's making those decisions by virtue of setting budgets and providing set
Look at all
amounts
the
of money
layers
that the bottom entity can actually spend on patient care. And so that distance, what it does is it entails severe budget cuts.
Apollo financed much of the transaction to buy LifePoint with so-called sub-investment grade debt, junk bonds, which came with punishing interest payments, driving the hospital chain's annual interest expenses from about $150 million in 2017 to $578 million in 2019. The deal has already paid dividends to Apollo investors who booked a $1.6 billion profit last year when the private equity firm sold LifePoint from one of its funds, Fund 8, to another, Fund 9. But the money to pay off the junk bondholders that made it all possible has to come from somewhere, and it usually comes from the budgets designed to keep a hospital running.
This situation happening here is extreme, but it's happening throughout the country.
Dr. Mitchell Lee is an ER doctor in North Carolina. He also founded the group Take Medicine Back, aimed at exposing the practices of private equity in medicine.
These private equity firms have realized they can do the billing without doing the rest of it. There's no innovation as far as good patient care. There's innovation in how to extract wealth. And what that translates to is decreased staffing, do more with less, and predatory billing in a healthcare system that's already non-transparent. This just takes it to the next level. It accelerates things.
And that acceleration, unfortunately, can lead to hospital closures, devastating rural communities.
When healthcare fails, private equity firms don't take a hit. They made money either way. Heads I win, tails you lose.
You can see the cycle of extraction, deterioration, and failure on display in Wilson.
Wilson is a growing community, and instead of the hospital growing, it's shrinking. The biggest thing in the hospital, it seems, is the ER, and that's not the way it should be.
Every time I visited the hospital, the ER was packed. The rest of the hospital, however, was eerily empty. Doctors told me the hospital, which is licensed for 294 beds, was caring for just around 50 patients.
That in and of itself is sort of the deterioration. Now, does that happen at other hospitals? Absolutely. But in Wilson, the reason is because they brought those numbers down. And the reason that is because they found their happy medium. They found their corporate.
We're in a pandemic.
As for the unsafe conditions threatening the hospital's Medicare funding, CMS inspectors determined during a follow-up that Wilson no longer posed an immediate jeopardy to patients. But they found so many more violations that the agency postponed its decision on Wilson's Medicare termination to September 22nd.
When Apollo comes in, it's profit over patient care.
If Wilson doesn't find a solution, the community could soon be the latest victim in a dangerous trend. At least 140 rural hospitals have closed since 2010, according to the Shep Center for Health Services Research. Experts say hundreds more are on the verge of closing due to financial distress.
1 in 4
that distress
is vulnerable
is
closure.
not purely a natural occurrence. A 2018 GAO study found that for-profit hospitals like the one in Wilson accounted for just 11% of rural hospitals in 2013, but 36% of rural hospital closures through 2017. Ferris and many Wilson community leaders believe they may have legal standing to evict private equity from their hospital. That's because something called a reverter clause in state law governing the sale of public hospitals to for-profit entities requires Apollo to provide same or like services to what the hospital offered prior to the sale. That clearly hasn't happened.
This has got to change, and we've got to look at the reverter clause.
And we cannot afford to let it go on. Either they've got to change the way they do business, or they don't need to be in Wilson.
Wow. As a healthcare activist, my head is just like, because I have heard stuff like this before. It's oh my God. And the thing is, people don't talk about this shit. Like, you know, like dude was saying 3% of the patients are fucking Medicare and CMS is trying to cut the funding. Like, what the fuck's the funding? $100? It's 3% of the people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Biden's trying to privatize Medicare, and it's like people don't even talk about it. Like, this is a travesty. This is why people are being murdered by this vulture capitalistic system that cares way more about money than human lives. And this is just another fucking piece of proof.
And I think the thing that's really eye-opening to me is that they said since, I believe, and I might be getting the statistics wrong, but since 2013, the amount of private equity hospitals has shot up by like 30% or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and the amount of hospital closures in rural areas from 2010 have closed like 40 or something like that. So it's not like imagine 10 years from now, right? If we continue this trend, how many more? It's just said 1 out of 4 rural hospitals are in danger of closure, right? You're going to be seeing a lot more closures. They're going to be seeing a lot more hospitals being gobbled up by private equity firms because it's already been increasing by the past 30% these last 10 or so years. So like, these are not, I mean, it would be awful enough if this was like something that had been happening over a 50 or 60 year span, right? That'd be bad enough. But this is something that's happening like fast, year by year, right? And so I think that's just some way to look at it too, right? Where it's like incrementalism does not work. People cannot, it just really strengthens the whole argument even more that like people can't wait. Saying now is not the time, you are literally killing people.
Yeah.
And so,
and this also shows, you know, the people who are like, oh, I'm scared of Medicare for all because that gives government the you know, the ability to take over our healthcare. That's just simply incorrect. This is government. What's happening now? This is government letting this shit be completely legal. This is government saying it's okay if you murder these people. All Medicare for all does is take out the money, take out the corporations, take out what is putting everyone in danger of dying. That's the point. Not just monetarily, but because it takes away what we are being subjected to.
Yeah. I mean, I think next time someone says, oh, I don't want the government, you want the government managing healthcare, right? Go back and then be like, oh, would you like private equity firms managing hospitals? Because that's what's happening now. And look how we're doing. I think another thing worth mentioning as well is that, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought and it was going to be good. I'll think about it more. You got anything else you got to say about this?
3 a.m. Joy! I figured out what I was going to say.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
I digress, but before I forget, are you wearing that shirt I gave you because it matches the hat? That shirt I
Oh.
sent you?
I'm wearing another shirt actually, but it looks similar. Yeah.
Sir.
Next episode.
No, you know what the one I'm talking about, right? The one I mailed to you for
Yes.
Christmas?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. Next
All
time.
right, I'll
Next
let
time.
it slide. I legit thought your hat said FBI at first.
Oh
Because
no.
it's that color. And I was like, is it? I mean, I knew if it did, it would be in jest. I was just like, what?
And last time you thought I was wearing a Ukraine shirt. When I was
Ukraine
just
shirt.
wearing
Look,
a running
it was
shirt that had similar
yellow and
colors.
turquoise. And I said, well, because you could only see here up. And I'm like, and you're like, it's a jersey. I'm like, Andrew, nobody can see that part. All they see is here up, and it looks like a Ukraine shirt. Don't be getting us canceled.
I figured out what I was gonna say though, and it's past the point, but whatever. I'll say it again, or
Do it.
I'll do it. One of the things that stood out was just how understaffed the nurses were, right? The healthcare workers, that was causing people to actually be neglected and die at the beginning, right? And so, of course, a distraction they'll, I'm sure, try and always do is say, oh, they need more training, right? They need to be trained more to be, we need to reform nurses. It's like, no, you need to fucking hire more nurses or more healthcare workers in general, medical assistants, CNAs, whatever, And so, yeah, that was just my.
And I think that's also a good point. They have like 50 patients in the hospital average when they hold, I think they said 291. So what that means is that, well, and the one young lady said, most of the people I know will not go there and if they can help it. So what that means is there are people who, even if they're having something of an emergency, they will go farther to the next town over to go to a hospital they feel they can trust. And that's a fucking problem. Because sometimes you can't, like, every second counts and you can't risk that. But if people aren't feeling safe, then
yeah. Miguel says in network and out of network BS.
Yeah.
I actually have a story regarding getting fucked over in that scenario. Luckily, fortunately, it's not as bad as a lot of other people, but still, I definitely got screwed over by it. See, I saw my primary care doctor, and they always send me over to someone to get blood work, right? That is someone that they contract with. It's another, organization, right? Outsourcing. Yeah, great. It always works well. Anyway, I go, apparently they switched companies because that company that was doing the blood work was out of network. I ended up having to pay a hell of a lot more than like the regular copay because of that. And I'm calling, I'm like, what the hell happened? Oh, they were out of network. My doctor is in network. No, the people that did your blood work are out of network. And so what I learned from that is literally when I'm in a healthcare setting, everyone that goes up to me, I'll have the first question is, are you in my network or are you out of network? Oh, you're out of network? Kindly fuck off. That's what I have to do. Because it's literally, that's how they get you. You just talk to any, if you just so much as have a conversation with someone who's out of your network, that's $200 more added to your bill if you're lucky. So,
yeah. No, last year, I usually take Ubers to the emergency room because I don't fuck around. But last year, I was just violently ill, and I called 911 and said I can't, because I was home by myself and I can't drive because of blindness, obviously. So I called 911 and they said an ambulance. Well, I do have insurance. Well, So I'm thinking, oh, I'm sure it's going to be probably at least $200 copay or something like that. Well, bill comes and it's over $800. And I'm like, what? Why? I've met my deductible. And they're like, well, the ambulance was out of network. And I said, well, I didn't pick which one. And she goes, no, that's not how it works. The one that's closest to you is the one that's sent. You can't request who comes and gets you. And I was like, hold up. So there could have been an in-network ambulance who was a block further. And she said, yes. And I was like, okay, hold on. I live within walking distance of the hospital, literally within walking distance. It's about a mile from my house. That cost me $800 because the one out of network happened to be closer to me. Mind blown. Are you fucking kidding me? If you're going to send someone, give me a fucking choice. You know, it's incredible. I would have waited an extra 10 minutes if it would have saved me $600. Insane. Absolutely insane.
I mean, it's literally you call 911, you say, I need to go to the hospital. This is where I am.
I would have rather fucking
there
waited
comes,
10 minutes. If you're gonna say it's a $200 copay or it's $800 bill, I will wait 10 extra minutes. You fucking send those people over. I will suffer. I don't fucking care. You give me that cheaper one.
So wait, just for like future reference, say if like I call 911, would I be able to, the operator, whoever's on there, say, this is my health care, and like read it off to them, and then could they theoretically send the right one? Like, yeah, like
I asked. I said, so God forbid, next time I have an emergency, can I say, can you send the one that accepts Highmark plan, whatever the fuck it is? And she goes, no, that's not how it works. We automatically dispatch the one that's closest.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, so it's a fucking 50-50, you know? It's like, or maybe it's less chances because I don't know how many ambulances are in my area and how many are in and out of network. So maybe it's even less of a chance than 50-50. I don't know, but all I know is if I'm fucking dragging my ass, hands and knees, I'm calling a fucking Uber. That's all I know. I'm not fucking going through that shit again.
Well, next time I have to call, I'll be like, I demand the vote blue no matter who ambulance. That's what I want.
Exactly. I get Joe Biden on the fucking phone. No, I'll be like, I'm live streaming right now. Tell me how much this is gonna be. If
man.
you don't laugh, we'll cry.
So, yeah. So what do we got? What we got coming up?
Well, Monday is a big day. Monday's a big day. Jazz hands. Monday is a big day. Yeah. So Monday is Human Happy Hour. Hi. We love Human Happy Hour. And they will be joining me soon. So yay. You will love them. Jenna, I know you. Jenna loves Human Happy Hour. So Jenna, surprise, they are coming on. Yay. Next Friday. So yeah, Monday is a big day. When you come to see Postmortem Breakdown, you are going to go to Real Progress in Action, which is Real Progressives, but it's their Real Progress in Action is the one with where
Bless you.
Excuse me, where you can talk about politics, because one is a 501c3, one's a 501c4. So we have to go to the one that you can talk about politics. So Monday, Real Progress in Action. That is where Postmortem Breakdown will be. But all of my other shows are still staying on here. We're just doing the once a week on RPIA. Andrew, what you got?
Yeah, so tune in for an episode Thursday at 8 p.m. on the People's Voice Network. We will be having Lee Camp mixed in with the whole show. Yeah, and so, yeah, excited about that. And yeah. Other things possibly happening, but not 100%. So don't want to go there. But yeah, tune in Thursday, 8 p.m. with Lee Camp and all of us at People's Voice Network.
You're
the
supposed
host.
to be like with me and Lee Camp, but with me.
With me.
Me, I'll be there. Me.
No, I think it'll be me, Z, and ADC and Lee Camp. I believe that is the lineup. So yeah, with Ruben, I believe, being our producer in the background.
I'll come.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of shows with Lee. He's fun. He's a good dude.
Yeah, no, he's a funny guy. All right. Well, on that note.
Well, thank you all so much for watching. You guys are amazing as always. And don't forget, Monday night, tune in for Postmortem Breakdown on RPIA, but continue tuning in here for all that other fun stuff. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and yes, much love to all of you. You guys are amazing.